Your alternative talk radio contact. The Planet. KGRAradio.com.
With infinite complaisance, people went to and fro of the earth about their little affairs, serene in the assurance of their dominion over this small, spinning fragment of solar driftwood, which by chance or design, man has inherited out of the dark mystery of time and space.
Kind of like what we're talking about. I mean, when people are out in the woods and investigators or whatever they are, and they start experiencing balls of light, maybe what it is that they're getting a small glimpse of kind of like what Skinwalker is. You know, you're seeing all this different phenomena at the same time, or in the same place anyhow. And, you know, and I think a lot of people, well, kind of like what happened with you. You know, you didn't want to see it.
Yeah.
But when you did, you kind of had to take the next step. You kind of, okay, this is a real thing. You know, how do I process it? You know?
Right. Right. And how does it tie in? Does it tie in? Like, you're kind of going, I don't want it to tie in, but then again, I just saw it, and I'm out here for Bigfoot reasons, and it is a lot to process. And isn't it cool about that wolf that they said, because the family did take shots at it with a massive round, and parts of this wolf did come off, and the pieces, they said, were already necrotic. They were already like rotted. That's crazy and insane, and I love it. I mean, I love that. But yes, the zombie wolf.
Yeah, I don't know what to make.
I don't know either. I mean, and then was it 2 dogs or 3 dogs? There was 2 dogs I think it was 2 dogs. Very powerful, like hunting dogs. You know, these folks are out on a ranch, and they go running and chasing after something, and then he goes the next day and finds just black pools of like sticky tar where his dogs, he knows that's where the dogs were. That's where they fell.
Yeah, and that was the last straw for him too.
Right.
What it was, he saw the balls of light, and he had a long day, and he just I think he commanded the dogs, get it or something. I don't know.
Right.
And the dogs took off, and they were lunging at the orbs, and they would just like dodge out of the way and stuff like that. And then he lost sight of them in the brush, and he just heard, that blood curdling, those yips of pain or whatever, those yells of pain. And like you said, when he went out that morning, he found it. And I'm pretty sure that was the last straw. When he found that, he was like, okay, this stuff is dangerous. I got to get my family out of here. And that was kind of the whole beginning of NIDS and everything,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, when you have a billionaire that backs a property, and considering Robert Bigelow's interests, that says a lot for said property, I think.
Yeah. So it's too bad that we didn't get a billionaire to back a Bigfoot thing, a hot spot, and some guy comes in and, he has the money, to get all the equipment and stuff like that. It'd be kind of interesting if something like that happened. But I suspect that they would either the phenomenon, the activity would just cease, and okay, we put all these cameras and all this equipment, and now they're gone, or they would start getting, other activity, and you'd start like, hey, we have a photo of an orb going across the road.
Right.
We have these strange lights coming out of the sky. What's going on? We're here looking for a Gigantopithecus or something. What is all this other stuff going
Much
on?
to the dismay of all of the researchers present, right?
Probably.
I mean, if you're assuming it's one of those groups, and I'm not making fun at all. I was totally I'm the same way. When I was at the Brown property and then I saw light, I'm like, okay, well, let's go hunt. Or hunt. That's a bad word. I don't need emails. No emails, guys. They're looking for, this massive woods person, creature thing. And then there's the orb. And it wasn't some drunk guy running through the woods at 3 a.m. in the freezing cold rain. It was raining. It was very cold. And I'm like, oh, he just took a digger. Look at him. He just fell to the ground. Nope, no heat signature whatsoever. Very strange.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of that. But, all right, well, let's dive in here. So, Christopher, you've been on with me before. And for these talks, part of it got saved for the insiders, which I titled that episode The Blue House and Sam in Idaho. But then for the boulders, I felt like that needed to be released to the masses because I felt that was a really important experience that you had, and it blew me away. And I know it blew a lot of other people away too. So if anyone hasn't listened to episode 143, The Boulders, I encourage you to do so. But tonight, we have a few different encounter stories that Christopher and I have chosen to talk about. I know you have others, and we'll definitely be getting to those at a later date. But yeah, I don't know which you want to start with or what you think is best time-wise or is pertinent to start with, but which three I wanted to talk about tonight.
Well, the first one that you chose was the little girl, so I can go ahead and start with that one.
Okay.
Well, this goes back to the Blue House. And let's see, I was 15 at the time, and how it starts off is a dream. I had a dream. I was in the woods, and I met a kid, some small boy, and he always wore a blue baseball cap. No markings on it, no team, logos or anything, just a blue baseball cap. And even though I just thought he was younger than me and stuff like that, but we got along real good, and just spent time in the woods talking and stuff like that. And towards the end of the dream, I'm waiting for him, and I see him coming towards me, and I can see his expression is sorrowful. Something's wrong. And when he got close enough, I asked him, I said, what's wrong? What's happened? And he lifts up his hat, takes his hat off, and down comes this long black hair all the way down the back. When that happened, I was like, geez, it's a girl. This whole time I thought it was a boy.
Right.
And she's looking up at me, and she says, I have to leave now, and I want you to come with me. And I got really scared at that point in the dream. I was scared. And it was because I'd be leaving home. I was leaving my, that place of safety, that comfort place, and I shook my head, and I was like, no, I can't go with you. But she already knew what my answer was going to be because, like I said, when she was coming towards me, she looked so sad.
Mm-hmm.
And after I told her no, she turned and she walked away. And when I lost sight of her in the dream, everything disappeared. All the surroundings, all the terrain, everything was gone. And I was just this black void. And I'm standing there looking around, and suddenly I can kind of feel it like this emptiness is seeping through my skin. And it was like invading my body. And I don't know, it was like I was dying inside, like I was becoming part of this void. And I start screaming out in pain. And I remember in the dream I fall to my knees, and I was screaming so loud, like my jaw was going to dislocate, and then I woke up. And I'm laying there in bed, and I can still feel that what I was feeling in the dream. I could still feel it in my body. And I just laid there. I couldn't move for like 2 minutes, and then it finally began to to dissipate. And after that dream, it just affected me so much that I thought, just to myself, it was like, if I ever see that girl again, I'm not saying no.
Right.
I'm not going back to that place. I don't want to ever go back to that place again. I don't want to feel that ever again. And a week later, I'm in the backyard, and my sister comes outside, and right away, I could see the look on her face. I was like, no, she's up to no good. She walks up to me, and she says, some girl was here looking for you. I look at her, and I'm kind of like, what are you talking about? And she said, there's some girl was here looking for you. And I was like, yeah, right, I'm not going to fall for that. I'm not stupid. And she just kind of shrugged her shoulders and said, okay, well, I'm telling you, there was some girl here looking for you. And she goes inside. And I just, whatever, just shrugged it off. She was trying to mess with me or something. And, but, all this stuff, just always thinking about it and wondering what it means and stuff. And years later, I think it was like 2007, I think it was, I was thinking about it and, decided to ask my sister about it. And so we were talking, and I just brought it up, and I said, do you remember that time when you came outside and, told me what you said and everything? And I thought, she'd say, oh, I've made it all up, but she didn't. She thought about it. She said, oh, yeah, that really happened. And I said, well, tell me about what happened. And she said that she was in the house with Mom, and they were cleaning. And there was a knock on the door. Mom went to go answer it, and pretty much told her, keep cleaning. But, my sister's curiosity, she wanted to see who was there. And Mom opened the door. She said there was this girl standing there. And she didn't say hello or anything. Right away, she just said, can I see Christopher? She asked for me by name. I thought, wow. And she said, Mom said he's not here, and closed the door. And I thought, she didn't ask her who she was? She said, no, she just said he's not home, closed the door. I thought, well, that sounds pretty weird. And I asked her, I said, well, did you know this girl? She said, nope, never saw her before. And I said, well, what did she look like? And she said, oh, she was pretty small. She said she was much smaller than me. And then she said the other thing that she remembered very well was that she had long black hair all the way down her back. And right away, I thought about that dream I had with that little girl in my dream. And unfortunately, I had a lot of questions because I always wondered, Mom's response, because I wasn't like my mom. She didn't ask her any questions. Who are you? How do you know my son?
Right.
Anything. She pretty much lied to her because I was in the backyard. And, unfortunately, Mom passed away in 2003. And when I asked my sister, it was too late to ask my mom anything about it. There's probably, I don't know if it was the same girl from the dream. But it kind of, I've always wondered, if she had come out in the backyard, if I had seen her, I'd be like, holy cow, it's a girl from the dream.
Right.
And if she had, asked me, I'm leaving, you going to come with me this time? I don't know. I think I probably would have, because that dream was still very fresh in my mind, and that what happened. And I think I probably would have left with her.
I mean, where do you think she would have taken you?
I have no idea. Hopefully not back to that bad place, that void or whatever it was. It was just, if she had taken me there, I was like, well, I've been tricked. It's been good. I really don't know.
I mean, was there any girls in school that possibly could have fit the bill for the long black hair and a smaller stature? And I mean, is there any way to even put that together? that would have known your name because she asked for you by name as well.
Yeah. No, it's not possible. Because at that time, I was being homeschooled by my mom.
Oh,
so
my gosh. Right?
There was no classmates or anything, and
Wow.
My sister, she had friends from church and stuff, and I asked her, did you know her? She said, no, I've never seen her before. Didn't know who she was. So.
Because it also seems like your mom really got a bad vibe from her, because it seems like she really kind of shut her down pretty quick. Nope, he's not here. Okay, goodbye, and shut the door, right?
Right. And I've wondered about that for a long time. Did mom know something, or was it just a feeling?
Right.
So.
Was there anything else weird about the girl in your dream? I mean, when she, besides the realization that it's not a boy, it's a girl. Did she look strange in any way?
No. I mean, other than not being, she wasn't very big. I mean, when she was wearing the baseball cap, and the thing about it in the dream is that hair was so long. There's no way you could have got that much hair up under that hat without being bulgy and sticking out. But in the dream, I guess that makes sense. But and the room that I had that dream was the same room that you might remember the story I told you about the key, the one that was coming to help me with mom.
Yes.
And how her daughter had seen that little man at the window.
Yes.
That was the same room.
So have you seen this girl since in dreams or anywhere else?
There was one time I suspected. I don't know. It was just a strange thing that happened. I mean, maybe it was just a strange girl. I don't know. But I was in a park sitting, and I had a little Game Boy. And I think I was playing Metroid.
Nice.
And,
yeah.
And this girl just walks up and sits next to me. And I'm thinking, geez, that's not very smart,
Huh.
Any kid shouldn't be going around sitting next to, people they don't know. And she starts talking to me. And she starts talking about school and stuff like that. And she asked me, are you in second grade or something? And I was kind of like, what? I got a beard, How can I be in second grade? and stuff like that. And she's just asking these questions, and I don't know. Like I said, it might have just been some strange girl, but I never had a dream about her again. It was just that one time.
It reminds me of when Mr. Halloran is talking to Danny in The Shining, and he's like, "Oh, you have the shine. Like other people can see that. They can sense that, right?" I don't know why that popped into my head, but how you just thought it was so strange that she just came up and sat down next to you. And again, with the whole little girl thing, right?
Yeah, she wasn't very big. And like I said, when she very first sat down and started talking to me, I thought, well, this isn't very safe. This girl shouldn't be, talking to strangers. She doesn't know who I am. She shouldn't feel so comfortable around me. This isn't safe, because somebody who's has bad intentions, they can take advantage of that.
Right.
But she was very, very relaxed, very calm, talking to me, and she just had strange questions,
Yeah.
And I just didn't know.
I mean, okay, so what's your takeaway from this whole situation between the dream and then her actually showing up, and then maybe this possible tie-in with the young lady at the park?
I don't know. I've often, because a lot of things have happened, and I kind of wondered, because, we were talking about the stuff that happened in the Blue House, and there was some creepy stuff that happened, and I always felt that it was the little man that girl had seen years later.
Yeah.
I thought maybe, the handprint on the door and, almost breaking the door down and all that stuff. And
I still think about that story. That was
him.
so creepy. Can I just say, I still bring that story up. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, it's okay. I thought that maybe she, on the other hand, was, I don't know, like protecting me or something, or trying to befriend me. I don't know. That's how I kind of felt about it. But it's I don't know how to. The thing I think that troubled me the most was, how my mom reacted to it.
Right.
I told you that Mom had dreams, and the dreams were prophetic. Things would happen. She'd dream about it, and it would happen. Like the time she told Dad that he was going to be in the car crash.
Yeah.
It turned out it wasn't him; it was his friend driving the van. But in her dream, she just saw the van crash. But she had other things that happened to her. I don't think she talked too much about it. Dad once told me when they had very first got married that he was coming out of the bedroom, I think, and he came out, and I don't know if it was a picture or something flew across the room, and he was shocked. He said he didn't know what the heck was going on. He looked over at my mom, and she was pretty much ignoring it, and she didn't, like, it didn't mean anything. Like maybe it happened before, and she just was used to it.
Right.
But that happened to her. The one that I think the one that stuck with her the most was when her and Dad were camping. They were on a job site, and she was making dinner. She had a pretty good idea of Dad's routine when he'd be home, and so she always tried to have dinner ready for him when he got back. And if you ever been in a camp trailer, the moment somebody, steps in, the trailer rocks and all that. And she was standing there at the stove. She heard the door open. She thought it was Dad. The trailer rocked back and forth and everything, and she heard the metal step clanking. And, she just said, hi, honey, dinner will be done in a little bit. And, thinking it was Dad. And she felt a hand on the back of her head, very gentle. Wasn't, like grabbing her hair or anything. And she thought it was Dad. And then it slowly was stroking her hair. And Mom had long red hair. In school, her nickname was Fireball. And anyhow, after it stopped, she thought Dad was standing behind her. And she turned to, I think, kiss him or something like that. And there was nobody there. And about half an hour later, Dad got home, and she was like, she told him about it. So she had her own strange experiences. And I'm kind of wondering if that, when you have these kind of strange experiences, you kind of get a feel for it. You kind of know when something is off, and it's a gut feeling.
Yeah.
And I think when that little girl was knocking when she answered the door, I think what it was because of her past experiences, she just knew that girl, something was off. And she just, especially, I guess, since she asked for me by name, she just, no, he's not here. So.
And isn't that interesting, though? Because if your mom had been like, oh, sure, he's in the backyard, here you go, and she comes up back, I mean, would it have been the same conversation that you had in the dream? Okay, well, let's go. Do you want to come with me now? We're going to go somewhere, and then how would she execute that? It's almost like a FRAY situation, like a fairy, right? Like where is she taking you? How is she taking you? Why is she taking you?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. It kind of sounds like something out of a fairy tale.
Yeah.
You know, one of them come up and they whisk you away to, you know, wherever, fairyland.
Right. And
then you're trapped there.
Yeah, when you go, you think you're gone for an hour, but yet all of your family has lived their lives and passed on, and, you know, it's been 70, 80, 90 years or some such thing. I mean, that's a staple in fairy lore.
Yeah. That's why I was looking forward to hearing your conversation with Joshua Cutchin. Though I said, unfortunately, I missed it.
His book is so incredible, and it's actually one of the best and most comprehensive books out there as far as, you know, tying things in with the Fae. And then when you start reading things about the alien connection, the Bigfoot connection, I was going, holy crap. I mean, really, it was so good. All right, so I know that next we are going to move on to, now I don't know anything about these stories yet, so I'm pretty excited about all of these. The giant black dog.
Would it be okay if we go with the screaming cow first?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Because it kind of plays into the dog one. So this is also taking place in Salmon. At this point, I was 17, and we were staying at my grandmother's. The same place I was trying to get to, in the boulder story.
Okay.
That was the same place I was trying to get to.
Interesting.
What was that? 2 years later, actually. I was 19 when that happened. My grandmother's house is next to the Salmon River. There's a dirt road about half a mile long. And on the east side of the dirt road is the river. On the west side, west of the road, is a pasture. It's owned by a rancher, and you know, you see cattle and stuff out there. And I had been walking and riding my bike on that dirt road my whole life. So I was, you know, pretty, you know, familiar with it and what happens there. Anyhow, this night I was 17. It was September, October. It was cold. I was wearing my coat. There was a thick blanket of fog over the river, and there was a little bit in the field, not as much as the river. And I walked all the way to the end of the dirt road, and I always turned around where the dirt met the pavement. That was since I was a kid, it was just, you know, that was where I always turned and went back. And I got to the end of the dirt road, and I heard two rocks hit. This loud noise, the two rocks hit each other. And it's coming from the field. I spun around to face, you know, whatever this was. And I was scared because it was, at this point, there had been the wolf reintroduction in that area of Idaho. And a friend of mine had seen one in his driveway. He said it was huge. Mm. And so when I heard that rock, I thought, oh my God, it's a wolf, you know, and I'm freaking out. And I'm looking out into the field, and I can't see anything. It's just pitch black. I can't see anything. I'm trying to see a shape or a form or something. I can't see it. And, you know, I don't know whether it's, you know, get ready to fight for my life or run. And I'm standing there thinking about what it could be. And then I'm thinking, wait a minute, this field, you know, has cows in it. I'm thinking, oh, great, it's a cow. You know, I'm freaking out for no reason. I'm like, stupid cow. And I'm shaking my head and everything. I'm like, oh, it's a stupid cow. And just like, whatever. And I start, you know, on my way walking back towards the house. And as I'm walking, I can hear something heavy walking beside me on the other side of the fence. And you know, because I thought it was a cow, you know, it didn't seem unusual for something, to hear something heavy,
Right.
walking out there. And at first, it didn't bother me, but I started to get a bad feeling. I guess I felt like I was being stalked or something, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to explain. The hairs on my neck were like standing up, and I just was very uncomfortable, and I started to have doubt. I was like, maybe that's not a cow. I didn't think about what it could be, just that maybe it's not a cow. And I was getting scared again. And so I didn't know what to do, so I just stopped. I froze. And I could still hear it walking down on the other side of the fence line, walking away. And as it got farther away, the sound faded and faded, and then I couldn't hear it anymore. And I was relieved, and I felt, I was pretty sure now it was a cow. Everything's fine. I'm freaking out for no reason, and I'm like, just keep on going. And so I start walking, and I think it was maybe 20 seconds, something like that, walking down the dirt road. I can hear something heavy walking on the other side of the fence, to my left. And I didn't stop. I was just kind of surprised. I was kind of, wait a minute, how did it get beside me? I heard it walk away. How's it beside me again? As I'm walking, I'm thinking about it, and I thought, well, it stopped, and it must have waited for me. And I'm thinking, why would a cow do that? I've been riding my bike on this road for years. No cow's ever behaved like that before. And I'm thinking, that's strange. And I'm thinking about it, and I thought, well, I'll just stop, see what happens. And when I stopped, it stopped. I heard, this time I didn't hear it keep walking. When I stopped, it stopped. It didn't, take a few steps and then stop. It stopped exactly when I did. And I'm standing there and I'm thinking, well, what the heck's up with this cow? And I'm looking at them. Like I said, I can't see anything. I can't see any shape or anything. It's just pitch black. I can't see anything. So I'm assuming it's a cow. And I'm confused. And I'm like, okay. And I start walking. When I start walking, it starts walking. And it's staying just to my left, and it's parallel. It's not in front of me or behind me. It's like going the exact same pace I am. And I'm thinking about this, and I'm kind of, it's a problem, and I'm trying to figure it out. And I'm thinking, why would a cow stop and wait for me, and why is it staying so close? Why is it doing this? And I'm thinking about the rancher, and I'd seen him out there with his tractor, in the winter when the grass is no longer growing, they have to take hay out there and feed their cattle. And I remember seeing the cows, they eat it. Most times, they don't like to get around people or anything, but when they see that food, they don't care, And they're right behind the tractor. They're right next to it, following it, waiting for their piece of hay.
Right.
And I thought, well, that's probably what's going on. I thought, cow probably saw me out here, and it's kind of like, hey, something to eat, And I thought, well, that's probably what it is. And I stop again, and just like before, it stopped when I stopped. And I'm standing there, and I look out, in the direction of where it is, and I just kind of say, I don't know why you're following me. I got nothing for you to eat. I'm talking to a cow. And I just shake my head, and I'm like, this crazy cow. And I'm not scared or anything. I don't feel that, that creepy feeling or anything. So I just walking. I can hear it on the other side of the fence, but I'm not bothered by it. And I get to my grandmother's house, and where I'm at, I'm next to the fence. I'm too far. She has one of those lights, their motion detector lights, the kinds, when it turns off, you're jumping up in the air, waving your arms, like, turn back on.
Right.
And I was too far away, though, for it to pick me up. I'm standing there, And when I stopped, of course, it stopped as well. So I know it's just a couple of feet on the other side of the fence. And I'm thinking, his cows followed me all the way home. I should maybe give it something to eat. And I'm thinking about it. And, my grandmother, she used to have chickens, but, they too much hassle, and foxes and coyotes killed them and stuff.
Right.
But she didn't keep hay or anything around. And then I thought, well, maybe I'll go over to one of the trees and just pull out some of the tall grass, give it to it. I thought, well, that's ridiculous. It's, not enough for a cow, And I thought about it. I thought, well, there's nothing I can do. I can't give it anything to eat, so I'm standing there, and I'm facing the direction it's at. And my words were, sounds silly because I'm talking to a cow, but I said into the dark, I said, well, from here on out, you're on your own. And then I kind of tilt my head forward and I tip my hat. And I turn and, I'm done. I'm going inside. It's getting late. I don't know what it was, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And I think it was probably the third or fourth step. And then there was this scream from behind. It was so loud. I mean, it was like a diesel engine, a train or something, it was just so loud. And, I wasn't, anybody, make you jump. And it did. I jumped up in the air and I spun around, faced the fence, and I lost my balance and I fell over backwards. And I'm sitting there on the ground, I'm just in shock. What the heck just happened? And I'm sitting there, and I remember saying, that was no cow. And I get back on my feet, and at this point, I'm like, that's, whatever's out there, it's not a cow. But what is it? And I'm trying really hard to see something, a shape, some sort of form, so I can figure out what it is, but I can't see it. It's just black on the other side of the fence. And so I move a little closer to the fence. And I'm trying to see, still can't see anything. I move even a little closer, take a couple more steps, and I still can't see anything. And I guess, we were talking about obsession a while ago, and I guess I was obsessed. I had to see I had to know what's on the other side of the fence. And I'm pretty sure if somebody else was there, they probably would have, grabbed me and given me a good shake. I'm like, what are you doing? You idiot. But I just kept getting closer to the fence, trying to see what it is. Eventually, I'm right next to the fence. I'm right next to it. And it's a barbed wire fence, of course, with cattle. And I still can't see anything. So then with my hands, I put them on the top wire, trying to be careful of the barbs. And I lean over the fence with my head. I'm like, maybe a couple more inches will make the difference,
Right.
And still can't see anything. And you ever seen those movies, those horror movies, where there's like a noise in the basement and some guy gonna go down there and you're screaming at your TV and like, you idiot, don't go down there.
Oh yes.
Yes. Then they go down there and they go down the stairs and you're like, okay, you're an idiot, you deserve to die.
Right.
And well, that idiot is me because I'm standing next to the fence and I have this stroke of genius. I'm going to climb over the fence.
Oh my God.
I'm going to go over there and I'm going to eventually just bump into what's on the other side. And after it screamed, it just went silent.
Right.
It's out there.
Wow.
Standing out there, but that was my plan, And so I start climbing, and the barbed wire fence was brand new. Because normally those old fences, you can usually, maybe fit through them or something like that. But this fence was tight. And to try and squeeze through that, I would have been hung up on the barbs and ripped my coat and got my pants stuck and everything. So the best way was just climb over it. And so I start climbing. And no one on the ground. Both I'm standing on the wire. I'm climbing. And I feel this very soft, something very just touches me, the very center of the back of my head. And, this all happened within like a second, but it doesn't stop just, touching the outside of my skin. I feel it actually enter into my head. It was just an odd feeling. I mean, there was no pain or anything, just very weird, feeling something. And when it was at the back of the head, it was just this odd feeling. But once I got towards the front of my head, my brain, I heard a voice. It was a woman's voice, a mature woman. It wasn't some, squeaky little girl or anything like that. There was no emotion or threatening, aspect of it. It was just, this very calm voice, woman's voice, and it said, "If you cross this fence, you won't come back." Mm-hmm. And I'm just freeze on the fence. I'm looking around till I felt that feeling on the back of my head. So I thought somebody was behind me. And so I'm on the fence, turning my head left and right, trying to see behind me. It wasn't the voice, like my mom or grandmother. It was a totally different voice. And I'm looking, and there's nobody there. And I'm on the fence. I'm like, what the heck was that? I'm like, what just happened? And I'm thinking about it, and just like that idiot, that we were talking about in the movie, that's me, because I dismissed it. I was like, well, whatever. And I continued climbing up the fence. And it happened again. Same thing. It's very soft touch on the back of my head. And that strange feeling is something's moving through it. And then when it got to the front part of my head, I heard the voice again. "If you cross this fence, you won't come back." And again, I just froze. I'm like, what was that? But this time, right after that happened, it's hard to explain, but it was probably like a dream or a vision. But my point of view suddenly changed. What it was, like I said, I don't know, like a dream or something. I don't know, but I can see myself on the fence. I'm like 12 feet farther up the fence line, and I can see myself. And because my view has changed, before when I was looking over the fence, I just seen blackness. It was like unnaturally, dark night or something. And but after my point of view changed, I was looking from a different view, and in front of me, about 2 feet, was like a wall, and it was a black wall. And when you're looking directly at it, you just think it's the night. But I remember it started to ripple like water, and then I saw this hand come out, and then an arm. And it was covered in black hair. And it was, even though I was on the fence, it was still at least 2.5, 3 feet above me, this arm. And it comes out, and I don't, you can't see anything on the other side of this wall. All I can see is the arm. I can't see what it's attached to. And all of a sudden, the hand comes down, it grabs the back of my jacket, and it lifts up. I don't kick, I don't scream. There's no, it happens so fast. And then the hand pulls back into the black, whatever that stuff is, and I'm gone, disappear. Well, the moment I see that in this vision or whatever it is, my point of view changes. I'm back on the fence, and I got down fast. I didn't even care about the barbs. I just got down, and I backed up from the fence at least 10 feet or so, maybe more. And I'm pretty sure somebody who's a lot brighter than me would have, that's it, I'm out of here. And got, left, ran away, something. But I didn't do that. I was still determined to see what it was. I hadn't given up. I wasn't going to try and go over the fence again, but I was trying to think of a way I could still try and see it. And all of a sudden in my head, it just popped in, flashlight. I need a flashlight. So I hurry up and, without thinking about it, I just run for the house. And, the porch light turns on when I get closer and everything. I jump the stairs to the porch and fly through the front door. And, of course, my mom and grandmother were in the kitchen talking. I remember my mom kind of leaning on her chair to see me, and she's like, "What's wrong? What happened?" And I just say one thing, flashlight. And I see a flashlight on the counter. I grab the light, hit the button, it works, and I hurry up and just run back out of the house. When I was on the porch, I heard the scream again. Except this time, the scream wasn't by the fence anymore. It was off in the field. And I was like, oh, it's getting away. And so anyhow, I'm running towards the fence. And, the flashlight's on. I'm running down the road, holding the flashlight, looking out into the field. And I hear the scream again. Except this time, it's all the way on the other end of the field. And I just stopped running because, it's just moving so fast. There's no way I can catch up to that or keep up with that. And I'm just standing there in the dark, with my flashlight, shining it out into the field. And I hear the scream one more time, and it's so faint and so far away. It had ran all the way across the field, and it was, miles probably away. And anyhow, I didn't when I went in the house, I didn't tell anybody what happened. But an interesting thing happened. I think it was 3 or 4 days later. I was on the phone with my friend, the same friend who seen the wolf in his driveway. We were talking, and I wasn't telling him anything about this. And he just mentioned, he said, something weird happened the past couple of nights. And I said, what happened? And he said, I don't know. I was asleep. It was probably around 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I wake up, there's something out in the field screaming. And I said, was someone out in the field screaming? And he said, yeah, there was 2 of them. He said, one was at one end of the field. The other one was, at each end, and they're screaming back and forth at each other. And he's in his room, he's looking out the window, and he's kind of, what the heck is that? When he heard his bedroom door, I guess had a little creak in it or something, and he heard it open. He turned around, it was his dad. He had woken up his dad. And when he saw that he was awake, he came in and he asked him, he said, what is that? What's making all that noise? And he said, I don't know. And he said, well, let's go out and find out. So they went and each got a flashlight. They went to the edge of the field. They didn't go into the field, and these things were still screaming back and forth at each other. And my friend said that I don't know if it was a part of a root or stick or something, I don't know. And he just threw it out in the field and yelled, shut up! And at both ends of the field, the screams stopped. And then they kind of, I don't know what that was, and they go back inside and go to bed, and that's that. And he said the very next night, it happened again.
You know what's not smart? Job sites that overwhelm you with tons of the wrong resumes. But you know what is smart? ZipRecruiter.com/FRAY. You see, unlike other job sites, ZipRecruiter doesn't wait for candidates to find you. ZipRecruiter finds them for you. Its powerful matching technology scans thousands of resumes, identifies people with the right skills, education, and experience for your job, and actively invites them to apply. So you get qualified candidates fast. No more sorting through the wrong resumes. No more waiting for the right candidates to apply. It's no wonder that ZipRecruiter is rated #1 by employers in the U.S. And this rating comes from hiring sites on Trustpilot with over 1,000 reviews. And right now, my listeners can try ZipRecruiter for free at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/FRAY. That's ZipRecruiter.com/FRAY. ZipRecruiter.com/FRAY. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Before I get back to this talk with Chris, he does have a third encounter story that he shared with me during our chat that I have saved for the insiders. So if you'd be interested in hearing that one, it is titled The Giant Black Dog. And you can listen to that and all of the other insider episodes by going to the website, intothefrayradio.com, and clicking Become an Insider. And now, back to Chris.
It was around the same time. He said that at one end of the field, at each end of the field, there was something, and they were screaming back and forth at each other. Real loud, like woman screams. And this time, he was pretty mad to be woken up so early. So he just went to his window and shouted out his window as loud as he could, shut up again, and the scream stopped. And he was telling me that, and he said, "What do you think that was?" And of course, 2 days earlier, like 3-4 days before he had his experience, I had that mine with, whatever it was on the other side of the fence. And I said, "Well, I don't know what it was. I think it was Bigfoot." And it was just silence for like a whole minute. And I had to say, "So you still there?" He was like, and I know all I heard was Bigfoot. "You sure?" It's kind of like, "Well, I don't know. I just think it is." Anyhow, that's the story about the screaming cow.
So did your mom and grandma hear the screaming, or maybe if they did, they didn't say they did?
The scream was a very loud, but it was only like, it was like this just quick burst. I don't know how to, it wasn't even a second long. But it was just so loud. And it just startled me. I jumped up in the air. Yeah. And if they did hear it, they either probably, what was that? And probably nothing, and just went back to talking, or I don't know, maybe they never heard it at all. I don't know. They never talked about it though.
Did that farmer ever lose any cattle?
I don't know that. They always have some, cattle either dying of disease or, stuff like that. And they had problems with the wolves. They didn't go after the full-grown cows, but I guess occasionally they went after the calves. But as to anything else, if anything strange did happen with cattle, you know how people are, it's something they don't like to talk about.
Right. So, of course, I was following along with your story, and I'm kind of going, okay, this is the mimicking of all of your movements. You go, it goes. You stop, it stops. Bigfoot. Of course, the classic Bigfoot story for a lot of people does not include, you felt the touch on the back of your head, and then it went through to the front, and, it giving you a message. If you cross this fence, you won't come back. So that is not part of the classic Bigfoot lore. So, do you put this in a category, or you're saying, here's my story, I don't know what to make of it?
I've told the story before to other people, but I know that the last part is controversial. You know, right away if you say that, you're like, immediately everything else is like, well, that's ridiculous, and they throw the rest of the story out. And so in the past, when I've told people, you know, I just left that last part out. And I don't tell them about the fence. I don't tell them about all that stuff.
Right.
And kind of like what you were saying, they hear it and they're like, oh, that's you know, if you, at the time I didn't know anything about Bigfoot. It wasn't until years later that, you know, I started reading about it, and I was like, you know, this stuff about, you know, how, you know, police on, I think it was in Polites' book. I read a story, and it was a woman called the cops and the tribal police. And they go out, you know, and they're out in the woods looking for this intruder. And they're walking, and they hear the crunch, 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 but they can hear something else to their left or where it was also crunch, 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 and they stop.
Mm-hmm.
When they stop, it stops.
Right.
And so you hear these stories multiple times of people talking about how they're out in the woods and they can hear it, but when they stop, it stops. And it freaks them out. Because I know in Polites' book, you know, they were like, the cops were like, this is crazy, I'm getting out of here. You know, and they were armed, you know, and they didn't want to deal with it.
Right.
Yeah. And, you know, that part, to a certain group of people, they say, you know, I mean, it's just a story, I can't prove anything, of course. And so that's interesting. But I've always felt, in some ways, like I wasn't being, by not being, telling the whole thing, you know, people don't have, you know, the full picture.
Right.
And they're not able to, you know, say, well, you know, this kind of fits with this and everything. Kind of like how we were talking about how, you know, if you can get the information, you can start seeing patterns and stuff like that. And
yeah.
I always felt bad, you know, for leaving that part out, because I was, in a way, not giving other people the choice, you know, to either say, well, this is something maybe I should remember, or, you know, just, you know, discard it.
Right.
Thing,
No,
you know?
it's a very important puzzle piece, even, you know, for the ones that are, you know, if they're scoffing right now, that's fine. It's okay. Everybody does it at some point. We've all done it. But for the others, they're going to go, oh, well, yeah, I need to remember that, because that may fit in here, and it may fit in later when someone else calls in to tell a story similar, right?
Right. And, you know, the part where I could feel it moving through my head, I listened to other people, you know, talk, you know, they can, in the Bigfoot community, they call it mind speak, telepathy is what it is. And I never heard anybody, when they're talking about their experience, have ever mentioned anything similar to that. And I've been listening for something like that.
Yeah.
You know, because it's kind of like, you know, when someone else says, well, this is my experience, it kind of excites you, kind of like, okay, I'm not the only one who's had this happen. You know, it kind of helps you kind of, you know, move forward in a way. You're kind of like, okay, other people are seeing this, other people are doing this, where I never heard anybody ever mention that. And it's possible that somebody has, but because of the fear of ridicule,
right.
You know, just kind of like how I was doing, you know, I would only tell the beginning part. I talked about, you know, the starting and stopping, the noise and everything, but I never told the other part. And it's possible other people were doing the same thing.
Well, yeah, and that's why I assumed it was what we would call a flesh and blood Bigfoot. But I'm assuming the part you're talking about that you haven't heard is, as far as the telepathy aspect of it, is the fact that it was during when you said you felt the touch, right? And that's when you heard the voice. Whereas most stories, there's just, you know, if they want to speak, they speak, and then they speak into your mind. They're not actually talking. But it had nothing to do with the touch, right? Right.
You know, other people I've heard, and some of them are pretty well known, who talked about experiencing this. When they're talking, they just hear a voice. You know, they just hear it. They're like, you know, what the heck's going on, you know? And,
right, exactly.
But I've never heard anybody ever talk about feeling that actually move through their head. I've never heard that. So, you know, maybe it was something different. I don't know. I mean, I guess if I could say, yeah, it's just like other people, but I've never heard anything kind of like similar in that way, you know, with that strange thing moving through my head.
I haven't
I've
either.
never heard anybody.
I haven't either, and I first of all, thank you so much for deciding to share the whole thing with me. I appreciate that, because I've heard many a times, like you said, the telepathy part, but to have it associated directly with, this almost comforting touch. You weren't scared. You didn't try to fight anything or run. But we're assuming, because it sounded like a female, she was just saying, don't come over the fence because you won't come back. So when she said it twice, did it sound exactly the same? Like the same cadence, the same voice, the same words?
Yeah. It's kind of like, parents, know this, you tell your kid, don't touch that. And they go, I said, don't touch it. It's more forceful,
okay.
You're trying to assert your authority. It wasn't like that. It was exactly the same. It was, like I said, it wasn't like it was trying to intimidate me or scare me. It was just simply stating, if you cross this fence, you won't come back.
Wow.
Yeah. I always wondered about it because up until it screamed, I thought it was a cow.
Right. Right.
I probably would have forgot about it, after a couple of days or a week or something, just would have been, whatever.
Like, what a weird cow following me home, and what a wacko. Yeah. But that's, not the case.
But after it screamed, I mean, in some ways, people talk about how, they keep their cover, whatever, Bigfoot, whatever, they don't reveal themselves. They're always hiding. But so why did it scream at me? Because I was leaving. So to me, it was kind of like, hey, where are you going?
All right.
Don't leave.
Right.
But it could be that it didn't know who it was dealing with. Because it probably, normal people probably would have, like, something like that happened. They're like, I'm getting out of here and ran. Unfortunately, what was on the other side of the fence didn't know it was dealing with a wacko because I didn't run. And
they don't know, Christopher. I'm not calling you a wacko. I'm saying it's awesome that you did that, by the way. No, you're not a wacko. That's cool that you did that.
And I think what it was is I might have surprised it. Maybe it didn't think I was going to try and get that close. I don't know. Because, first it screams at me, and then the warning, don't come any closer. So.
And then, but then the footsteps were so heavy. I mean, can it not mask its footsteps as well? I mean, because by the time you tell the part where it's speaking in a woman's voice, and like I'm thinking of a FRAY thing, but then there's the whole Bigfoot on the other side of it in my brain. So I'm kind of like going, what in the world?
Yeah, I've tried to think about all this stuff, and one of the things that you're talking about the footsteps, and when I heard the rocks, because that's what started, I heard those two rocks hit, and I thought, because out in that field, it's just cattle, and it's by the river, so it's before they built up the banks, you used to flood, all the time in the summer, in the spring anyhow. So it's a lot of rocks out in that field. And I thought, I don't know, that maybe, because when I was walking, it could have been beside me the whole way out when I was going away from the house, being absolutely silent, not making any noise. And then I thought, maybe it screwed up. Maybe it stepped on a rock or whatever and it hit the other one. And after that happened, maybe there's no point in trying to be quiet anymore. That's one thing I thought of. The other thing I thought of was maybe it wasn't an accident when I heard those rocks hit. Maybe that was deliberate. Maybe it was some sort of, test, or maybe it just saw me and wanted to mess with me. I don't know. And then, everything that happened after that. So those are some things I thought about.
Or was it completely a separate thing where there was, this is so far out there, I'm sorry, everybody, including you, to say this, but maybe there was Bigfoot out there, but the thing that touched your head and said, don't come over this fence because you won't come back. Maybe that was a separate thing.
Yes, I thought of that. Yeah, I wondered if there was something else out there. Somebody might say it was a guardian angel.
Right.
I don't know.
Something protecting you.
And the whole thing, like I said, Bigfoot and stuff, but I never saw what was on the other side of that fence.
Right.
I never did. All I saw was blackness. Never saw a shape, never saw anything. The part that I talked about with the arm, like I said, that was like a dream or a vision. I don't know which one it falls under. We were talking about, hearing other people's stories and saying, well, that sounds similar to mine. And I once heard somebody kind of describe something similar to what I experienced. It was Cindy Dawson.
Uh-huh.
She does the hair stuff for, I think, Olympic project. And it was, she was on Chuck Pearl's show. I think it was the second or third show before he died. It was, I think the title was called Ladies Night. He had two female guests, and Cindy was one of them. And she was talking about they were on by a lake, and they were doing research and stuff, and they were camping in their cars, sleeping in their cars. They didn't have tents, I guess, or chose not to. Maybe it was too wet. I don't know. Anyhow, she's talking about how she didn't seat, her driver's seat, she's reclining back and everything. She woke up and she was like really sick and didn't feel good, and had this strange tingling feeling going on in her body. And she said she looked up and she could see the roof of her Jeep. Something was crushing her Jeep. And she lifted her arms because she's trying to protect herself from, the windshield's going to shatter. And she goes to lift up her arms, but she can't. And she's trying, and all of a sudden, all of a sudden her arms shoot up. And she's looking around and everything like that. And the roof of her Jeep's fine. It's nothing wrong with it. The windshield's fine, everything's fine, and she's looking around and she's kind of like, what just happened? I think she described it as like she was awake, but it was like she was dreaming, awake and dreaming. And the other people who were with her, she got on her radio and said, we got to get out of here. And I don't think she ever went back. But that's the closest I've ever heard of somebody else experiencing something like you're awake, and then all of a sudden you're like seeing something happen, and then you see it happen, and all of a sudden, poof, you're back in your body, and what you saw didn't happen, but it affects you. In her case, they got out of there.
Something that could happen, though.
They went back.
Right. It was a warning.
Possible, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, a warning. So, yeah.
We were talking about Joshua Cutchin earlier. I would like him to hear all of this. And Timothy Renner also. He knows a lot about things like this. So I'm going to make sure they listen to this episode and see what they think. And I'll get back to you. And thanks for sharing all of that.
Yeah, the list that I sent you, it was just, I just, because I thought it was a cow, I just call it the screaming cow.
Right, right, yeah.
Later found out.
Right, yeah. I mean, what else do you call it, right? Because there's this part, and then it leads to this part, which you're like, oh, well, wait, that doesn't match up with the last part. Wait a second, right? But that's what makes it so incredible. And that's why, I mean, these are the stories. This is why I do this. Well, I know that we have more tales to cover, and we will do that certainly soon, hopefully. But I just want to thank you for sharing these tonight.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm so-and-so. I was given this name by my parents. I've been to such and such a college. I've done these things in my profession. I produce a little biography. Buddha says, forget it. That's not true. That's some story. That's all gone. That's all past. I want to see the real you are now. Well, nobody knows who that is. because we don't know ourselves except through listening to our echoes and consulting our memories. But then there's a real you, and that again leads us back to this question. Who are you? That is the real you. We shall see how they play with this exam by the koans to get you to come out of your shell and find out who you really are. you settle down in the train to read your newspaper and so on, you are not the same person who a little while ago left the platform. If you think you are linking your moments up in a chain. And this is what binds you to the wheel of birth and death. But when you know that every moment in which you are is the only moment, this comes into Zen. A master will say to somebody, get up and walk across the room. And he comes back and he says, where are your footprints? They've gone. So where are you? Who are you? When we are asked who we are, we usually give a kind of recitation of a history.